Hello, hello, fam. Happy Monday. Looks like we got some chit chat happening already in the chat. Yay. Deb, two of my Debs are here tonight. That's awesome. Welcome, welcome. Of course, Bubbles. Karen, always. I love it. I got to shout out. Miss Karen Bubbles has rules because tonight I'm talking about grit. How to find your grit when the going gets tough. How to be the tough getting going when things get hard and extra difficult and challenging and all of the things start coming at you. And let me tell you, Miss Karen is in the Facebook group every day, pretty much, giving us updates on what her plan is, how she had to change the plan and what she did to change the plan when things weren't going well. I'm not going to put her business in the street, but y'all, if you know, you know, she's going through some things. She's gone through some things. She's dealing with some serious situations, y'all, serious circumstances. And circumstances where most of you would be letting your goals go by the wayside. But she's not doing that. She is showing up every day. She's making a plan. She's adjusting the plan if she needs to. And she's sharing. Like, Karen, are you Superwoman? I don't think so, right? You're a woman. You're just a regular woman like the rest of us, right? Tell me if you're taking a limitless pill or something. But she doesn't have some secret. She doesn't have some superpower that you don't have. And neither do professional athletes. I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight, about the athlete mentality. I've done a masterclass on that before. I will probably put that one in the notes in the description box for this one, so you can go back and watch that if you want to binge these tough love videos this week. So I'm going to drop that one. There was another one as I was writing my notes that I remembered that was a similar topic. I can't remember now, but as I get through the notes, I'll tell you what that is. And I'll put that in the description box as well. So you can just binge the heck out of all of the mindset, tough love, light a fire under your ass kind of masterclasses, because that's the masterclass you're on tonight, okay? Be prepared. This might get a little ranty. Up until maybe 15 minutes ago, Bubbles, I think you probably, Karen, I'm calling you Bubbles. You probably missed it, but I was shouting you out. So you're going to have to go back and watch the replay and hear what I was saying about you, that I don't think that you were born Superwoman, but you're making it through some difficult obstacles, and you're not letting yourself off the hook. And that's what we're talking about tonight, is this concept of letting yourself off the hook when the ish hits the fan in your life. So yeah, Karen, you got a little love there. My heart is with you, love. I see the post. I see what's going on. So just know I'm with you, and the whole crew is with you. We're all behind you. We're pulling for you, and you are an inspiration. Okay, so tonight's topic, you can have results or you can have excuses. You can't have both. If you put your so-called goals, every time I say goals tonight, I'm putting them in parentheses, because the fact is, a lot of the time we talk about having goals, but we don't act like we have goals. We don't act like we really care about these so-called goals that we have. So I keep seeing people putting your goals on the back burner every time you encounter difficulty. An unexpected occurrence comes up in life, and then It's always I couldn't do this because, I can't do this because. That's where the mindset is. So we're going to talk about how to shift that mindset from I can't because to I will because. So ultimately, if you keep doing that, if you keep letting these stressors of life, which are always going to be there, unexpected things are always going to come up. If you keep letting those things stop you in your tracks, stop you from taking the actions that you know you need to take to get to where you're trying to be, you will never reach said goals. So your results are 100% a direct reflection of your behaviors, your actions, and how you react to the challenges and obstacles that are in front of you in life. They're never not going to be there, so we just need to plan for them. We can't imagine every possible thing that can happen, so we need to prepare ourselves to be better at handling stressors, whatever they may be, and to become problem solvers. I'm going to talk a lot tonight about becoming a problem solver. Your progress is 100% determined by the actions you take every single day, not just on the good days. I always see this in coaching. Everybody wants to check in when things are going well. When I don't hear from people, I already know. I already know what's going on. If I'm not hearing from you, you would have told me if things were going well. You always want to talk to your coach when things are going well. You want to tell them what you did well this week. When things aren't going well is when you stop checking in, you start hiding. You don't want to talk about it. One of the other things I'm going to talk about tonight is how we need to own it. Once you start owning the good and the bad and the ugly, and taking that mantra from, I've talked about this before at some point in time, Tom Bilyeu, the owner or founder of Quest Nutrition, which I do not recommend, by the way. Quest is garbage. Don't eat Quest. I just recently talked about that in my group, but he has an incredible company called Impact Theory. I don't know if that's the name of the company now, but there's all these videos where he's brought on all kinds of people, and it's incredible, inspirational, motivational kind of stuff. He has a motto, everything is my fault. As a CEO, he talks about that. Everything is my fault. When we start owning every single thing, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we stop doing things to make ourselves feel better about not doing what we need to do, then you're going to probably start taking action, because it doesn't feel good to recognize I'm not showing up the way I want to. I'm not being who I want to be in this world. So we need to face it. We need to face all of that. And if we don't face that, if we keep putting a Band-Aid over it, that's what's keeping us stuck in the same loop of on again, off again, on track, off track. I love it. That's what Karen said. Yes. That's exactly why I post every day, owning all my ish, good and not. Amen. Accountability is not rah, rah, look what I did. Accountability is I messed up, and this is how I'm going to correct it. This is my plan. All right. So the truth is, how you respond to the unexpected circumstances or interruptions to your regular routine are a stronger determinant of your results than what you do on the good days. Anybody can have a ideal, perfect day when they're all motivated and excited and fired up about something. But what are you going to do when you don't feel like it? What are you going to do when the ish is hitting the fan? What are you going to do when everything is against you? It's what you do in those moments that truly determine your success long term. So tonight we're going to talk about how athletes approach things differently than the average person and get different results than the average person. So we're going to talk about connecting the dots between your actions and your results and taking ownership over every choice you make. All right. So you can always find an excuse or you can find a way. One of the things that resonated deeply with me that I used to say to myself when I was working on changing my identity, because ultimately that's what we're talking about here. When you are trying to get healthy, when you are trying to get fit, when you are trying to unlock a new level of fitness, wellness, health, vibrancy, all of those things, you have to change your identity. The way you've been living that has created the current health status that you have or body that you have, whatever the thing is that you are trying to change, what you've been doing is what got you here. What will get you somewhere else is doing something different. And doing something different feels hard. It feels difficult because it's new. It is different. It is not the norm. It is not your default position. It is not what you would do if you were just on autopilot. It is going to take effort. It is going to take focus. It is going to take intention. And it's not going to be fun to change it. So when I was working on changing who I was so I could change what I looked like, what I felt like, how I performed, how I could show up in the world, I used to say, I'm a find a way or make a way kind of person. That was my mantra. Find a way or make a way. There's never a reason why I can't. There's always a way that I can. What is that way? This is the piece of becoming a problem solver we're going to get into in a minute. But first, I want to share something with you about pro athletes, for example, right? What you might think of when you think about pro athletes are the big sports, right? Football, basketball, baseball, the most, the people who are making millions. The people who are making millions just to be a bench warmer in a pro league, right? That's usually who comes to mind. However, those people are not the grand majority in all sports. Most pro athletes in the grand majority of sports are hobbyists who do not make a living playing their sport. Think triathlons, Ironman, Spartan races, CrossFit, bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is a sport of hobbyists. Very, very few people in bodybuilding make anything actually doing their sport. And if they do win the very top awards, it doesn't even cover the expenses of their sport. And most of these sports do not. Most of the sports, I only mentioned a few, right? We got wrestling. There are so many sports. Y'all can probably put in the chat, what sports do your kids play? What sports did you play growing up that would never make you millions? How much have you spent on your children's sports? Does it bring back a return on investment for you financially? Do you see a dollar of that come back to you from your children's sports? Maybe scholarship money. That's great. I got a dance scholarship in college. Didn't put me all the way through. Didn't get a full ride. Most high school athletes do not even get college paid for. And then think about how many thousands and tens of thousands that you've spent over the years on that sport and how much of that actually came back to you financially. I say this because less than 1% of pro athletes get paid to spend their lives training and performing for their sport. The reason why I say that is most professional athletes have a career outside of their sport. Just like you. They have a family, just like you. They have obligations, responsibilities, extracurricular activities, social lives, stressors, disease, struggles, just like you. So when I talk about what professional athletes, how a pro athlete thinks and acts and behaves and reacts, I don't want you thinking I'm talking about LeBron James. Okay? What does a pro athlete have to do with me? You probably work with some. I bet you somebody you work with is in the pro league of something. You just never heard of it. It's fringe, it's not something you're going to see played on TV and they're not making millions. I haven't seen my millions yet. I don't make $1 being a bodybuilder. Coaching is my career. I could easily sit at this desk all day long, just working. And as an entrepreneur, it is very easy to work 12, 16-hour days because there is no 9 to 5. We set our own hours. We are passionate about what we do. We want to do it all the time. And it's very difficult to pull away from it. Just ask Bronson. He gets frustrated with me sometimes because I'm checking the app and I'm checking what's going on with my ladies because I want to help. So absolutely, I say this to say part of what stops you is when you hear about other people being successful, one of the things in your mind is, but they have this, but they got this, but they. They have it better than me because they have it easier because, but I'm different, but I couldn't, right? Here's the deal. Most pro athletes were not born that talented. Even some of the greats in the big sports that you see all over TV, you know of some of their stories that they had to practice harder than everybody else. They had to show up and spend more time and more energy and more effort than everybody else because they were not naturally gifted. They were not born professionals at their sport. Many of them were not even raised playing their sport. Many sports, you do have to play it your whole life to get that good, which only makes you think, right? Look at how much more time they had to put into it. When you're complaining about not getting results in 3 months, the people who go to the Olympics spend their entire lives working towards that, and some of them never even make it to the Olympics. Did you know that Olympic gold medalists make less than the average salary in the United States per year, annually? The silver and the bronze medalists, it's like chump change. And that's medalists. Imagine spending your whole life going to the Olympics. You don't place, and you make goose egg on your sport. And you spent years and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars on it. And then you got to do something else to make a living on top of all that. Some professional athletes in, let's say, leagues like Ironman and triathlons and, Tough Mudders or Spartan races and things of that nature, right? Some of them were not even athletes at all until they decided to do this and they got excited about it. They developed an interest that turned into a passion, that became a dream, and they decided it was worth it to work toward it. And they pursued it relentlessly. And then they accomplished greatness within that tiny realm of the universe, right? Some people out there have never heard of competitive bodybuilding. They don't even know what it is. They wouldn't even, I'm not a blip on the radar. But blood, sweat, tears, and years and dollars have been spent on this sport for me. For what, right? It has to be worth it to you. So I say all that because they are no different from you. Or they were no different from you at one point in time until they decided they wanted to change who they were, how they showed up every day, their identity. They wanted to do something amazing. They wanted to do something different. The only reason it's hard for you is because it's new. It is different. It is requiring more from you. I didn't put this in my notes, but I have to say it. It always comes up. I know I've said it before. Part of this is, what is your expectation? You know, I love to talk about expectations. Did you think it was going to be easy? Did you think it was just going to be a float down the river? If you're talking about changing your physique, you're talking about changing your health. You're talking about changing your lifespan, whatever it is for you. You know that's not going to be easy. If it were easy, you'd already have those results by autopilot, by default, but that's not the case. You embarked on a journey toward a goal because you knew it was different than what you have. It was something that you currently don't want, and there's something that you want that you don't have. If you think that this is just going to be a walk in the park, then you need to reset your expectations. The problem is when we get all motivated and all fired up and excited about doing something, usually it's because we're pissed about where we're at, what we're currently getting, the extra 30 pounds we put on or whatever, and we want to get it off. And we think about being at the end goal, and we think about that end result, and that gets us excited. But what we fail to think about is what's going to happen in 2 weeks when that new car smell wears off. And I'm not so excited anymore. And this ish is hard, and I'm hungry, and I'm tired, and I still have to get my workout in. And I've already eaten all my macros for the day. I always like to say at the beginning, when you're setting out on the next goal, you need to think about how hard it's going to be. Put that in front of your face. Prepare yourself for difficulty, because that's what you're setting out to do. You're setting out to do something difficult. Stop thinking about the end result and start thinking about what it's going to take to get there. Because when you become the person who does the things that that person who has what you want has, that's when you get it. And that takes day in and day out, no matter what is happening around you. It's only difficult because it's new. So stop making it new. When you stay consistent, consistent day to day, not halfway in, halfway out, not 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but fully committed 100% in and consistent long enough, it will stop being new. You'll get familiar with it. It will become easier because you've gotten used to it. Just like starting a new job. Think about the first month to first 90 days of a new job. What do they call it? They call it the probationary period. That is the 90 days where you have to prove yourself to the employer. And if you don't, you could be gone. Bye-bye. They are looking closely at your performance. So how do you show up every day for those 90 days? You show up like you have something to prove. So here's a little tip on your health and fitness journey. Give yourself a probationary period. And do not stop. Go all in for your 90-day probationary period and show up like you have something to prove to yourself, just like you would with a boss, without letting yourself off the hook. What would happen for you if you did that? Day 91 would be a hell of a lot easier to just keep on doing what you've taught yourself to do, because it'll become a habit and you'll just do it on autopilot. How many of you have been in the same career for years? Was it as difficult 90 days, 60 days, 6 months, 2 years, or 6 years into your career as it was on day one? I hope not. I hope not, but that's the way some of y'all treat your health and fitness. If it's not getting any easier, you probably haven't been very consistent. You probably haven't been putting much effort in. Maybe you've been 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If you keep breaking the pattern and going back to your old ways every weekend, or every opportunity, every time something unexpected comes up, it will be like starting over again. It'll be like trudging through the mud again, because it's going to be new all over again. So another thing, and the reason why this topic is on my heart right now, is because I'm 6 weeks out to a show. There is no excuses. There is no time. Every single day counts. You can treat your journey like that every 6 weeks. You don't need a show to be the thing. You pick what the thing is. You pick what matters to you the most. Make it short term and make it non-negotiable. Give yourself something at the end of a month, or at the end of 6 weeks, or at the end of 90 days. Pick your time frame and decide, why is this non-negotiable for me? Once you make it non-negotiable to stick to your plan, all of a sudden you will start coming up with solutions instead of excuses. What if it wasn't an option to not follow through with the plan? What would you do if you took all other options off the table? You will become resourceful as hell. You will find solutions instead of excuses. I go to an event and there's nothing to eat. Well, if you were finding solutions ahead of time, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, you would have brought something that you can eat. Or you would have eaten before you left, or you would have made a plan to eat when you get back, or you would have done all three of those things. Or you'd have an emergency stash of beef sticks in your purse. You wouldn't go in there unprepared, or just hoping or assuming that they might have something you can eat. That's naive. And you did that on purpose. When you do things like that, you've got to start looking at it like, I'm doing that on purpose. I chose way in advance, by not being prepared and not planning ahead. I already knew I was going to go off the rails or off plan. I was already looking forward to the opportunity to go off plan. So I didn't make a plan so that I could go indulge when I get there in something else and then have an excuse later. Oh, I didn't have anything. You could have. So when your brain comes up with another excuse, here's how you can practice finding these solutions. Your brain is going to come up with excuses. Your limbic brain is always trying to sabotage you because it wants to do what it's familiar with. So until you've been consistent long enough that the new thing is no longer new, that brain, that limbic brain, that emotional brain back here, the survival monkey lizard brain, is going to keep trying to trick you because it wants to do the comfortable thing you've taught it to do for all this time. So when it starts to come up with excuses, flip those excuses around. Oh, I can't stick to my plan because blah, blah, blah. Change that to I will stick to my plan because, and answer that question. Finish that statement, because this is the piece where you're reconnecting to your why. You're remembering why it's important to you that you follow through. I will because, not I can't because, I will because. And then if you're not sure how can I? Instead of I can't because, how can I? Start asking your brain questions and it has to answer them. Find the solution. There is always a solution. You will not starve. Y'all have heard me say this before, but nobody ever starved between lunch and dinner, or breakfast and dinner, or breakfast and lunch, or breakfast and the following day. You will live. Worst case scenario, you just don't eat. You'll make it. Ultimately, if you're not doing what you need to do to get the results you want, the truth is you don't want those results. That's all there is to it. How many of y'all have had an F it moment and ate all the things? That was a I don't give an F about my goals right now. And you were fine with that decision in the moment, and then you were pissed off and angry at yourself the next day. Or you were angry at the scale. You really should have been angry at yourself because you chose to jump off the wagon. You didn't fall. Nobody pushed you. Nobody did it to you. Nothing outside of you made you do it. You chose. Every single time you do something counter to where you're trying to go, who you're trying to be, what you're trying to accomplish, your goals, the truth is you don't care about your goals. You don't want it that bad, period. And if that makes you feel some kind of way, good. You chose to derail because you don't care enough about your goal to put in the work that it takes to get it. Y'all know you don't forget to do anything you really care about. You're intentional about the things that matter to you and the people that matter to you. You make sure you don't drop the ball when it comes to those things and those people in your life that matter to you. So when you find yourself dropping the ball on your goals, tell it like it is. That's not actually a goal for me right now. It is not a priority, period. Own it. Call it like it is and don't sugarcoat it. That is a very important step in changing the behavior. It's like a child, disciplining a child and teaching them what they did wrong. If you don't ever sit down and have the conversation, they're likely to just keep doing it because they never have to face it and feel what it feels like to do something wrong. This whole thing these days of like making ourselves feel better for everything, it's holding you back. If I gave myself an excuse about why I don't really need to do my cardio each day, or why it's okay for me to go over my macros today, I'll never make it to the stage. Or I will, and I'll embarrass myself on stage. Because I'm not going to hit the goal if I keep making excuses and making myself feel better for not following through. I sometimes need to feel shitty for not following through. Don't avoid that guilt and shame you feel. I've talked about this before. I think it's been a while since I've discussed this, but guilt and shame are not bad emotions. They're there for a reason. They're trying to tell you something. When you're embarrassed, you feel shame, you feel guilty about doing something, it's because we've been taught right from wrong. We've been taught that when we do something wrong, we feel bad about it. We feel guilty. We feel shameful. So dig into that. Why am I feeling that emotion? Well, because I said I was going to work on this thing. I was going to get healthy. I have this goal, and then I didn't. My actions didn't align with that, and I'm embarrassed by that. The more you call yourself out, whether it's just to yourself or, if you feel comfortable doing it in the group or in a journal or with a loved one that you trust, the more you do that, the less likely you are next time to go and do that thing again. So get clear on how your actions line up with your priorities. If they do not align, it's simply not a priority. Recognize how you feel about that. If my actions are not lining up, then that means that this weight loss goal or muscle gain goal or body recomp goal or health goal or nutrition goal, whatever fitness goal that I have, performance goal that I have, that's not a priority for me. How do I feel about that not being a priority for me? In some seasons of life, you might just say, you know what? It's time for me to let that goal go for right now. Make peace with that. But recognize, how do you feel? Do you feel peaceful about that? Or does it actually make you mad because you really wanted to work toward that thing? Be honest with yourself about how you feel when you say that. Well, what if I just let this goal go? How would I feel about that? Would I feel peace? Or would I feel like I'm letting myself down? That's a good way to determine, because for sometimes the goal does need to be let go, at least for a period of time. Look, there are some ladies, I've talked about this on previous masterclasses, that I see who are dangerously lean and still trying to lose weight. Maybe it's not happening for them because they don't need to be losing any more weight, but that's hard to sit with. But maybe that's a goal they need to let go of for now. Maybe it's not serving them. Sometimes that goal is not serving you. Sometimes it doesn't fit with all the other priorities you have in your life. Are you okay with that? That's all that matters at the end of the day. If it is putting you in a dangerous place with your health, hopefully you're not that quick to give up on it. But it's totally up to you to decide whether a vanity goal is worth it to you in this stage of life or in this particular phase or time frame. If you keep hitting your head against the wall, maybe it's time to stop trying for a little while. Take a step back. I've used that with clients before and can really see where their head was at with it. Maybe you need to stop. Maybe we need to stop chasing this goal. You're going to get a gut reaction one way or another when I recommend that. What you feel is directing you in which way you should go. So, okay. When you own it, with that knowledge, you can do something about it if you really want to. And if not, just recognize that you are choosing what you currently have by not taking actions to change your current reality. Bronson and I talked about this on a coffee talk. I am choosing where I am. You could put something specific in there. Someone in our group said, I am choosing to be chubby, because she didn't like the way that sounded, right? Whatever it is that where you're at, where you don't want to be, finish that sentence with that statement. I am choosing 45% body fat. I am choosing achy knees. I am choosing immobility. I am choosing disease. I am choosing diabetes. Whatever it might be for you, put that in the sentence. So when you go to choose that thing to eat that might taste delicious but is not going to help you move forward, tell yourself what you're really choosing by reaching for that. When you're choosing to skip your workout, tell yourself what you're really choosing by skipping your workout. It's the current reality that you want to escape from. That's what you're choosing, and it's a choice. Okay. So a couple of 5 practical things that you can do when you are finding yourself having a hard time when things get tough. Number 1, back up your commitment with a plan. Make a solid commitment, just like anything else that matters to you, by writing it down, calendaring it. Where is it going to go? What time am I going to do this? What day am I going to do this? And then hold that sacred. Pre-populate your nutrition tracker. Start with a clear plan, because without a plan, it's just a dream. Make it real by getting specific. When, where, and how will you execute? I see this all the time in check-ins. I always call this out in the action plan section of our check-ins. We ask, what is your plan of action for the week ahead? I just said this on last week's feedback to the ladies in the academy. I need to XYZ. What does that tell me as a coach? You're not doing it. There's no ownership there. I need to is just an acknowledgement that there's something that if you did it, it would help you. It would actually move you toward your goals. But I need to is not any kind of commitment to doing it. It's anti-committal. I need to is just, yeah, most people can say, I need to eat right. I need to eat healthy. I need to hit my macros. I see that all the time. I need to get all my workouts in. I need to drink more water. I need to go to bed earlier. That's not an action plan. When, why, when, where, and how. Get clear on those things. Now, prioritize the hardest stuff first. That's number 2. Not getting to the gym? Do it first thing in the morning, before everything else. Not logging your nutrition, logging your food, not tracking? Do it the night before. Take pictures of all your food and do it after, when the day is over. There's never a reason why you can't. Stop pushing all these tasks off for later. They will not happen if they're last on the list. Y'all know the last thing on the to-do list never gets done. Y'all are still waiting on my coconut yogurt video. It was last on the list. My next prep update video, pretty low on the list. Hasn't happened yet. But guess what? My training's getting done. My cardio is getting done. My food is getting tracked, because those are non-negotiables. These days, they don't even have to go on a list anymore, because I was consistent enough for long enough that it's not even a thought in my head. It's not hard anymore. It's just life. It happens on autopilot. So here's the big piece, because it's always the unexpected stuff, right, that gets in the way. So becoming a problem solver, here's a practical strategy you can use to practice becoming a problem solver. This is number 3. Get ahead of your challenges every single week. This is what we do in our check-ins. I ask, what is coming up that could get in your way this week? And how will you overcome that challenge? So you're not going to be able to foresee every potential thing that could possibly go wrong, but brainstorm it. Brainstorm as many things that could possibly go wrong as possible. Anything you can think of. You might get a flat tire on the way to this event. You might, think about any random weird thing that could come up, especially anything that has come up for you before. And then come up with a solution for every single possible obstacle that you thought of. Most of those things will not happen at all. Hopefully they don't. If they don't happen, great. But now you have practiced. You've become better prepared for anything that could happen because you've practiced finding solutions. I love this. Karen said, people think I'm nuts because I take pics of all my food. It helps me remember what I ate and need to track. Exactly. Okay, this was a tip I gave to a client today who was preparing for the hurricane. I'm guessing she's in the midst of it right now because she is not on. So hopefully she's doing all right. This is going out to everyone in Florida who is in the eye of the storms this week. I hope that we see you all again in the next day or so. I hope you're able to get some electricity. I hope you don't lose your electricity. Whatever's going on down there, we're with you. But I told her, take pictures of your food. She's stocked up with all the right food, all the food that's going to align with her goals. I said, always, the most important thing is the choices you make day to day. Your body is tracking what you eat, whether you track it or not. But good to get good at remembering what you ate. Take pictures of it for later if you need to track later, if you're too busy, if things are crazy. Get good at that. This whole, I don't remember what I ate, you're choosing not to remember. You could choose to remember and estimate and put that in later. I could probably do a recall if I had to go back the last couple of days and just backtrack my day and figure out what I ate. We have to start being aware throughout our lives. Don't take a backseat in your own life. You are the driver. You are in the driver's seat. So this whole apathy about things, if this is a goal, then you don't get to be apathetic about it. If it really is a goal for you, then this whole, oh, I don't remember what I ate, I'm not sure, so I can't track it. That is not showing up for yourself. Show up in your life. You are the main character. Act like you know what's happening around you on a day-to-day basis. Okay, write it down. I mean, if you can't, let's say you're in the midst of the storm, right? You have no electricity, your phone is dead, you have no way of taking pictures of what you're eating. You're sheltering. Got a notepad and a pen? Got a memory? By all means, if you lose your home and you're literally washed up on the street, I don't care if you track your food, for God's sake. But if you're safe and you're dry and you have a pen and a notepad, you can track your food. I always like to say it's not that serious because we make things out to be. And the other tip that I gave her was do not preemptively plan to go off plan, essentially. Is that the term? So let me see what I said because I like this statement. Don't give yourself an out before you even need it. Some of y'all, we're not affected by the storms at all, but just let that become your excuse for eating off track. Oh, the storms are coming. I'm so stressed. I'm so stressed about the storms in Florida. I live in California, but I'm so stressed about it. I'm going to eat my feelings. Y'all might be laughing at me right now for that analogy, but let me tell you, I see that all the time. I'm so stressed about this war in another country. I'm so stressed about what's happening across the country somewhere else because I know some people over there. I'm so stressed about what's happening with this family member. I'm so stressed about what's happening at work. None of that is physically making you do anything. This whole concept of eating because we're stressed, which first of all, most of the things that we are stressed about, we're creating that stress within ourselves, and we could choose not to. That's a topic for another time. I did a masterclass on it. I should post that one underneath here as well. But this whole idea of allowing things that are so far from our sphere of influence impact our peace, steal our peace, steal our joy, steal our focus away from the things that matter to us, or that we say matter to us, like our goals. You are creating that. Hear me. You are creating that. Okay. That, and I see a lot of the time the such and such is happening, is going to be happening in the future. So I'm not going to be able to track. So I'm not going to be able to do XYZ. It hasn't happened yet. Don't count yourself out already. And certainly because what's happening is the limbic brain is saying, ooh, this is an opportunity for us to make excuses and do what we really want to do, which is binge eat or be sedentary or sit on the couch or whatever. When that stuff starts to happen, you are already making a plan to go off plan. Catch it and recognize what's happening when it's happening. This is such a good, yes, this is what I'm talking about. She said, my clients cancel 3 days ahead when bad weather is in the forecast. I tell them cancel the day of if it happens. Thank you. Y'all, we really do create our own reality, and that includes the level of stress that we have within us. Okay, so become a problem solver was number 3. That's where I was. Number 4 is challenge your old thoughts. This is my thing I say all the time. Challenge every thought you think, because your emotional brain will always try to trick you. So ask your emotional brain questions, find the lies it is trying to tell you, and find accuracy. Is this accurate? Where is the lie? Rebut every excuse. I've done a lot of other masterclasses on that, so I'm not going to dive deep into how to challenge the old thoughts, but there are lots of those. So drop a comment if you want help finding one of those. And then finally, number 5, it always comes back to this. If you are questioning whether or not this goal really is worth it to you, revisit and reconnect with your why. Why is it worth it to me to push through the difficult things? I hope that it is worth it to you just to push through difficult things because it makes you better as a person. Just becoming a person who can overcome hardships, difficulties, obstacles, and challenges, to me, is worth it enough in and of itself. But as it relates to your health and fitness goals, simply ask yourself, why am I doing this? If it's worth it to me, why? Only you can answer that question. You don't need to answer it any certain kind of way for anybody else. Why did you get started in the first place? Kelly liked my little one-liner there. Your body is tracking what you eat, whether you track it or not. So good. Yes, that is one of my favorite things. We don't want to see it. That's what's happening. When we don't want to track, it's because we don't want to see it. We overate, or we ate some junk, or we ate some sugar, or we ate something we quote unquote shouldn't have eaten. And we don't want to see it. But guess what? It's going to show up on your body, in your body. You already ate it. Tracking it is just, it's that piece of the puzzle of like the disciplining the child. You chose to do it, so let's look at what we did. It's part of that holding yourself accountable, taking ownership, and saying, you wanted to eat it in the moment and you ate it, so now we have to look at what we did. Now we have to sleep in that bed that we made. It truly was the game changer for me when I was trying to get out of the cycle of bulimia. I made myself track every binge. And guess what? Those binges didn't last very long after I started doing that. It was shocking to see when I first started doing it. I did not want to look at it, but I had to see what I was doing to myself. Looking at it on paper or in the app to see I ate 3,000 additional calories. I ate 300 carbs. I ate however many grams of fat. All the things. I had to look at what I put in my body. And I didn't make the excuse that I forgot what I was binge eating. I remembered every single wrapper. And if I had to, I could have pulled it out of the trash can. But I didn't. I didn't forget what I ate. I know every candy bar and protein bar and whatever I was binging on back then. And I wrote it down. And then I looked at it. And that felt shitty. Physically, I felt even shittier because physically and physiologically, I felt sick. But looking at it like that, what's the point of tracking if I'm going to do that and then not track it? You got to start seeing what you're doing, looking at the spilled milk. That's where it all begins. So glad that was helpful for you, Kelly. All right, ladies, I think that's all I got for you tonight. Rant is over. Just under an hour. I hope this helps light a fire under some of you and helps get you moving and looking at these obstacles and challenges that come up around you. It's going to happen all the time. Some are going to be more extreme than others, but you can make it through. You are in the driver's seat. You are in control at every moment. Nothing outside of you can make your hands and feet move. Only your brain can do that. So take control, take ownership. Suck it up, Buttercup. Find your grit. Become a person who can handle tough situations. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Become a tough mother effer. All right, ladies. Becky, I love you back. Always going to keep it real around these parts. Y'all know there's probably going to be more of this coming because I've got 5 weeks until I fly out to Mexico. And then 1 more week before I'm on stage. So, or less than that now because it's already Monday. So We are in by any means mode. I'm not allowing myself off the hook for anything. As a matter of fact, it is cardio time. All right, ladies. Yes, indeed. Put your big girl panties on and deal with it. You are capable. You're amazing. Go out there and crush it this week. No excuses, ladies. Let's do this. See you in the groups. Bye.